Hey everyone, how you doing? Chris McPherson here, holding the camera once again. My finger, well, that's my thumb and my fingers. And I'm here with John Depass, personal trainer to the stars. This man has been doing this for like, what, 20 plus years. This is his life. He lives it, he breathes it. So, gonna have a little Q&A with John about some things that are a little bit confusing when it comes to health and losing weight. And primarily, will you get fat by eating fat? So if you want to lose weight, should we cut out all the fat to lose weight? Because if we eat fat, we're going to get fat, right? Is that true, or what's going on with that?
It's not true. It's not true. Eating fat does not make you get fat. You get fat because you eat too many calories total. So, I mean, every gram of protein you eat yields calories. Every gram of carbohydrate you eat gives your body calories. Every gram of fat you eat gives your body calories as well. The problem is that fat gives you 9 calories per gram. And that's why people think they want to try and eliminate the fat as much as they can, because if they eliminate their fat, they'll of course eat less calories. Because fat by the gram yields the most calories for your body. The problem with that idea is that there are tissues and hormones and enzymes and a huge laundry list of material in your body that requires you to consume fat. So eliminating your fat is not a sensible way to try and lose weight. The other problem is that fats tend to make us feel full longer. So if you want to feel satisfied at all, eating fat is what I would say a good idea. The thing is that there are different types of fat. Now, saturated fat has always got a bad rap. However, saturated fat is essential for the building of many of our key metabolic hormones. So,
wait a second. So you're saying we need to eat saturated fats?
Yes.
But
we do need to eat saturated fat.
Okay, but when people say, like, the Heart and Health Foundation will say, like, saturated fats are the cause to, increase cholesterol rate, blood pressure, heart disease.
Yes, they do say things like that. There is absolutely a link between saturated fat and cholesterol. However, the biggest problems with cholesterol are genetically related, and even bigger than that, the biggest cholesterol problems are linked to inactivity. And we need cholesterol. So, cholesterol is essential, and saturated fat helps create cholesterol, and it's essential for building very numerous hormones in your body that you need to burn fat. So we do need cholesterol and we do need saturated fat. The thing is that you also need to combine the consumption of cholesterol and saturated fat with high intensity activity, because you can't avoid high intensity activity. You need high intensity activity for your body to be functioning optimally. That needs to be a part of your week and your day and your life. And how high should the intensity be? It needs to be appropriate for you. If you're inactive, your high intensity is different than my high intensity. So don't be afraid by me saying high intensity that, oh my gosh, this guy wants to get me into something that I don't want to do. We need high intensity activity, and that activity needs to be appropriate for the person. But I'm getting off track here. We need to stick with the fats. And yes, we do need saturated fat. And the real fat that we don't really need, the culprit, is the trans fat. Chris, we need to stay away from the trans fat. That's the partially hydrogenated oils.
So you're saying, like, all the good stuff, like potato chips, muffins, cupcakes, brownies.
Okay, right. You see, the partially hydrogenated oils that you find on the labels of all of those items are the types of fat that allow something to stay on the shelf for a long period of time. Those are the man-made fats. So those type of fats increase shelf life of something. But you can already understand that if it can stay on the shelf for a long period of time, that it's not natural. It's processed, and it's not appropriate for your body, and it will wreak havoc in the creation of cells and the construction of many of the body materials that you need to be functioning optimally. So we got to get the trans fats out. So potato chips and muffins and all the stuff you're talking about, all that processed stuff, it doesn't mean that you can't ever have it, but you can't have it on your day-to-day. You can have that stuff on Saturday.
Okay.
Okay? Now, back to eating fat. Should I eat fat? Yes, you've got to eat fat. But you know what you need to eat? You need to eat essential fat. You need to eat the good fat, omega-3, 6, and 9. Those are the essential fats. Your body can't produce those, so you've got to consume them. Now, omega-3 in particular is the one that's least predominant in our diet, least occurring in our diet, North American diet, and it's the one that reduces inflammation in the body, and inflammation is an enormous problem in our bodies. So omega-3 is a hugely essential fat for you to consume on a day-to-day basis, especially if you want to reduce fat, especially if you're on a diet that is reducing your carbohydrate intake, because a lot of people are not eating bread and not eating potatoes and not eating rice and not eating sugars and even not eating fruits, which I'm not recommending you shouldn't eat fruits, but I'm saying a lot of people are doing that. What you got to do when you drop your carbohydrate intake down, when you're dropping your sugars down, you've got to raise your essential fats, particular omega-3. Fish oil in the liquid form, you've got to consume fish oil in the liquid form a lot every single day. You need to consume that a lot every single day.
What are we talking about? Like, what kind of amount is it? Does your intake go by your body weight?
Yes, it's definitely linked to your body weight and your activity and your total caloric consumption. So we can determine those things in a face-to-face meeting if we were to sit down and talk about your personal situation. But as a general rule, everyone needs to take, let's talk about, everyone, when I say, even if I'm talking about a little, size 0 woman, she needs to take at least a teaspoon or two a day, a tablespoon or two a day, if she's reducing her carbohydrate intake and trying to trigger her body to burn as much fat as possible. So the average person has got to be eating a couple of tablespoons of essential fat a day. And if you're dropping your calories extremely low and watching your sugars and keeping them extremely low, then you've got to eat more than that. Now, if you're talking about the capsules, because you say you've got the capsules, so you figure you've got that under control. One capsule, you'd have to have 13 capsules to put that into a tablespoon of essential oil. So you'd have to be eating, we're talking 20 plus capsules a day if you're on a low carbohydrate diet and you're trying to burn fat as quickly as possible. You need to eat fat if you want to get lean.
Wow. So let me recap this. Eating fat will not make us fat.
No.
And we need 2 of the fats. We need the essential omega 6s and 3s, right?
3, 6, and 9, yes.
3, 6, and 9. We can get that from fish. I think we can get it from flax, right? Flaxseed as well?
Absolutely, flax.
There's some other sources there too, right?
Nuts and seeds, almonds.
Okay. And
almonds are the best.
Almonds are the best,
but cashews and walnuts are good.
Okay. If you got a peanut or a nut allergy like me, you're probably going to stick just with the fish oil.
Yes.
And saturated fats are getting a bad rap. We need our saturated fats.
Also.
Okay, so eating a steak with a little bit of fat on it, no problem.
You could trim the fat. You're going to get the saturated fats in the steak, even if you trim the fat. There's still fat in that steak. So I would trim off the visible fat, but I would eat the steak once a week.
Okay, so we need the saturated fats. Saturated fats are not going to harm us unless we are not being active, and if we are consuming far too much of saturated fats for our diet.
Right, and that needs to be assessed and determined in an individual basis.
Okay, so you heard it right here. If you want to get your testosterone production up,
growth hormone.
growth hormone. You have to consume saturated fats. If you cut these fats out of your diet, you will hurt your hormone production.
And then your body's not functioning optimally. And what we're talking about is optimal body functioning, because we want to be thinking, feeling, and acting at our best, because it's our thoughts, our words, and our actions in the right place that gets us to where we want to go.
And the moral of this story, kids, eat some fat. All right, we out.